What's up, everyone? Welcome to an episode of Mastercast Sprints. And today I'm stepping outside of my comfort zone and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about finance. So please hang in there. Please hit that like and share buttons. Let me know what you think. If you want me to talk more about these kind of things, I'm very passionate about it. So I'd love to hear back from you. So I hope I don't scare you away because the first thing I'll be talking to you about is Bitcoin. Now, I know that this is something that a lot of people are kind of shying away from. They still don't understand it. But I just want to kind of point out why it's something that people should actually be at least paying attention to. So I've got this screen up over here. And what it's kind of showing you is the price action of Bitcoin. Obviously, looking back at 2017, 18, when the price was at that peak, at that bubble, as everyone saw. But the most important thing is to have a look at how it's spiked in recent months. And it's really going towards that 20,000 K mark, that infamous 20,000 K mark. So that's where it reached. It obviously went parabolic back in 2017 and 18. And if everyone can remember, you couldn't go to a braai without somebody talking to you about Bitcoin or the word coming up. Well, funny enough, we've gone back into those levels and it's not really on anyone's lips. You can even have a look at this this Google Trends. If you look in Bitcoin, and you can actually see that what happened is the price actions normally go according to how people are searching on the internet. So if you're going to invest in something, you're generally going to do some research into it. And so Google gives us this little tool here to see how people have been searching for it, and it literally replicates how the price action spiked in 2017 and 18 on Google. So people searching for it happened to the same thing with the price. So you can actually see that if I had to zoom out or zoom in, sorry, spoiling it there, you'll see that it kind of showed the same patterns. And if you look at it now, it's busy spiking up eventually. So a lot of this growth that happened, that I was just showing you earlier, happened without a lot of people talking about it. But it's now obviously been sitting now, it's testing this 20,000K mark now for a while. It's kind of gone up and it's busy playing around in there and testing the waters. And obviously, while this is happening, people are starting to talk about it again and more people are looking into it. But I want to go into a little bit more detail about why it's important to start understanding the importance of Bitcoin, and why it's becoming a little bit more mainstream. So this was in the news in September. This guy, Michael Saylor, who's become quite a famous guy in the Bitcoin world as such, but he's got a company called MicroStrategy, and what he did was his company had a lot of excess cash sitting in its balance sheet. And if anyone's been following, and maybe I should have showed you that, is that the value of the dollar has been decreasing recently, and that is because they've been printing money thanks to the COVID stimulus packages that they were doing. They printed $3 trillion earlier this year just to keep liquidity, cash in the market. And obviously, we could look at Zimbabwe, and I don't want to compare the States to Zimbabwe, but when you print money, the value of it goes down a little. And so this guy was kind of like saying, well, what do I do with all my excess cash? Because as a business, it's important that you have that liquidity sitting, but it's literally decreasing in value while it sits in his bank. So he did his research, and then obviously is a Bitcoin bull, and decided to then go and invest $425 million worth of the money left, money in MicroStrategy's company, MicroStrategy's balance sheet, and converted it into Bitcoin. And I'm just going to show you their website, and you can actually go and have a look. And if you click on at the bottom, they've actually got a Bitcoin segment there, and you can actually wanted to show you at the bottom here how he's gives us information about it. And most importantly, not only did MicroStrategy do this, but another company called Square, who was started by Jack Dorsey, who also started Twitter. They actually wrote a white paper on how to legitimize having Bitcoin on your balance sheets of your company. So they're actually showing other companies that if they wanted to do it, how they can go about doing it. And what's happening here is if you take $425 million worth of Bitcoin, I think it came to 32,000 Bitcoin, or here we go, 38,250 Bitcoin. What happens with supply and demand, right? So the more the suppliers, the less the value, the lower the price. What they're doing is they've bought this Bitcoin. They're not going to use it. They're going to hold on to it, which is decreasing the supply. But at the same time, as the price is increasing, obviously there's more of a demand. So they're taking what's very little. And the biggest thing about Bitcoin to understand is that there is a limited amount. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin on the market. There's 7 billion people in the world. Just to give you some, kind of concept to how limited the scarcity of Bitcoin is going to be when it's fully mined. I think there's about 18 million Bitcoin that's been mined thus far. But yeah, so just to keep in mind that they've held onto this, they bought it, and as well as Square, who have also bought about $50 million worth of Bitcoin and put it into their balance sheets. And they've shown other companies. Now, the question is, what happens when the likes of Apple and Google and all these companies that are very, very liquid in cash, what are they going to do when they start doing the same thing? I mean, obviously that the supply of available Bitcoin is going to go down, become less and less. So very important. And these are the reasons why we can see. So here I want to actually show you the stock price of MicroStrategy since he announced this purchase of Bitcoin. And just look how the price of their share price has just absolutely rocketed in recent times since he announced that purchase. Because what's funny about this also is that people are now you can get exposure to Bitcoin through MicroStrategy. So you could buy shares in MicroStrategy, and because their balance sheet has exposure to Bitcoin, you can actually get yourself some exposure into Bitcoin. So it's an interesting thing. It's almost like working as an ETF, which is quite an interesting concept. So you can see just what's happening out in the world. And I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just kind of showing you some of my homework and kind of the things that I'm looking into and what you should maybe also be just paying attention. And you can just have a look at also Square. This is their share price, how it's increased over time since they've also been doing a lot of their exposure into Bitcoin. So yeah, that's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Just a touching base on the whole concept. So I hope you enjoyed it. And if you want to hear more about it, please let me know. Like the videos, share comments. I'd love to hear from you. I could definitely do more of these and get some guests on the show to also chat about this into more detail. That's it for today. Have a good weekend, and I hope to see you again soon. Cheers.